I'm 108 years old, and this morning I made my own breakfast, washed my own dishes, and walked to my own mailbox by myself. No nurse, no children, no nursing home. Now I want you to really hear that, because 28 years ago, when I was 80, I couldn't do a single one of those things. At 80, I was the frail one. I'd fallen 2 times in 1 year. They put me in a nursing home, and I'll tell you what that's really like, because nobody does. It's strangers bathing you. It's a stranger deciding when your lights go out at night. It's sitting by a window watching a life that used to be yours. The doctors there talked about me like I wasn't in the room, like I was already gone. And here's the part that still makes me angry. I got that weak by doing everything I thought was right. I ate light, I kept my plate small, I stayed away from rich food. Everybody told me that's how you stay healthy when you get old. Eat less, weigh less, don't overdo it. But they had it backwards, and it nearly killed me. So what I'm about to tell you is the thing nobody told me, the thing I had to find out the hard way, flat on a nursing home floor at 80 years old. It's about what was actually happening inside my body, and it's about 5 things I started eating every single morning that brought my strength back when everyone had already written me off. Now I'm not a doctor, I'm just an old woman who refused to disappear. So you go talk to your own doctor before you change anything, especially if you take medicine. But stay with me, because if you're tired, if your hands are shaky, if you've started holding the railing on the stairs, this is for you. Let me tell you what was really going on. There's a name for what was happening to me. The doctors call it sarcopenia. Don't let that word scare you. It just means your muscles are shrinking and getting weaker as you age. Here's what most folks don't realize. After about 50, your body starts losing muscle a little every year, whether you can see it or not. It's quiet. You don't feel it like you feel a sore knee. You just notice the jar's harder to open, the stairs feel longer, you sit down a little heavier than you used to. And that's where it becomes dangerous, because weak muscles are why old people fall. Weak legs, weak hips, that's what puts you on the floor and then in the hospital. And then for a lot of folks, that's the beginning of the end. And once you fall and break something, it's like a row of dominoes. You go to the hospital, you lie in bed, and lying in that bed, you lose even more muscle fast. So you come out weaker than you went in, weaker so you fall again. That's the trap, and it's the road most people never come back from. But here's the part nobody told me, the part that changed my life. Muscle is not a one-way street. You don't just lose it, and that's that. Your body can build it back. At 80, at 90, even at 100, I'm living proof of it. But your muscles can't build anything out of nothing. They need fuel, and the fuel they need most is protein. Now, here's my mistake, the one I'd been making for years without knowing it. I was barely eating a cup of tea and a piece of toast in the morning. Maybe a little soup at lunch. I thought I was being good. I thought a thin old lady was a healthy old lady, but I was starving my own muscles. Every single morning, my body woke up needing protein to rebuild what I'd worn down the day before, and I was handing it tea and toast, nothing to build with. So my body did the only thing it could. It started taking apart my own muscle just to keep me going. I was eating myself alive one quiet morning at a time, and I didn't even know it. Now there was one single day that turned me all the way around. I'd slid off the edge of my bed and onto the floor of that home, and I could not get myself up, not 1 inch. I just lay there on the cold tile until a young aide came in, sweet girl. She lifted me up like I weighed nothing at all, and she patted my hand and she said, "There you go, honey, we've got you." And I saw it in her eyes, pity, the kind you give to something that's already finished, and something deep in me just rose up and said, "No, no, not yet. I am not finished." And I decided right there on that floor that I was going to get strong enough to lift my own self up off the ground if it was the last thing I ever did. That one decision is the only reason I'm sitting here talking to you today. So when I finally clawed my way out of that nursing home, and I'll tell you exactly how that happened in a minute, I changed one thing first, my breakfast. 5 things actually, and I want to give them to you right now, one by one, because every one of them is sitting in your grocery store today, and they cost almost nothing. But first, let me tell you why the morning matters so much, because this is the part most people miss completely. You've just gone all night without a single bite to eat, 8 hours, 9, 10. By the time you open your eyes, your muscles are starving. They've spent the whole night waiting for something, anything to rebuild with. So whatever you put in your mouth first thing in the morning matters more than anything else you'll eat all day long. Feed them right at the start, and you set the whole day up for repair. Feed them tea and toast like I did, and you've already lost the most important meal there is. Here's the first. Number 1, eggs. Plain old eggs. The very thing I'd been avoiding for 30 years because somebody somewhere scared me off them. Here's why eggs matter so much. An egg is what they call a complete protein. That just means it's got every single building block your muscles need all in one little package, and your body can use almost all of it. There is barely a more perfect food on this earth for an old body trying to rebuild itself. And don't you dare throw out the yolk. That yellow part is where the good stuff lives. The vitamin D, the healthy fat. For years they told us the yolk was the enemy. It is not. It's the best part of the whole thing. So here's what I do every morning. 2 whole eggs, some mornings 3, scrambled soft in a little butter so they're easy on old teeth. That's it. And I'll be honest with you, that first week I felt a little guilty eating them. 60 years of being told they'd clog up my heart, and there I sat eating 2 a day on purpose. But within a couple of weeks I noticed something. I wasn't quite so wobbly getting up out of my chair. A tiny thing, but for me it was the first crack of light I'd seen in years. The morning I started eating real eggs again was the morning my body finally had something to work with. It's the foundation. Everything else builds right on top of it. But eggs alone weren't enough because there was a second thing I'd been getting completely backwards. And this one might surprise you because I'll bet you're doing it too. Number 2, plain Greek yogurt. Now listen close because here's where I went wrong for years. I always bought the fat-free kind, the diet kind. I thought I was doing myself a favor. I was robbing myself blind. Here's the thing, when they strip the fat out of yogurt or milk, they take out the very thing your body needs to soak up certain vitamins. Some vitamins only dissolve in fat, no fat, and they pass right through you wasted. So that healthy fat-free yogurt I was so proud of, it was carrying half its goodness straight out the door. So I switched. Plain full-fat Greek yogurt. And here's why Greek and not the regular kind. Greek yogurt is strained, so it's packed with about twice the protein of the regular stuff. 1 bowl, and you've handed your muscles a serious load of fuel. Here's how I eat it. A bowl of plain Greek yogurt, a handful of berries on top for a little sweetness, never sugar, never honey, and a spoonful of nuts. But I'll get to those, so that's 2 now, eggs and yogurt. But the third one is the one I fought the hardest because it's the one almost everybody my age is the most afraid of. Number 3, avocado. And really what I mean is fat, good fat, the kind I spent my whole life running from like it was poison. Here's the lie I believed for 60 years. I thought fat made you fat and fat made you sick, so I cut it out of everything. Skinless, butterless, dry toast and watery soup. But your body needs fat. Your nerves are wrapped in it. And like I just told you, you can't even absorb some of your vitamins without it. I was starving in more ways than one. Avocado is one of the easiest ways to get that good fat back. It's soft, so it's gentle on old teeth and easy to swallow. It's full of potassium, even more than a banana, and potassium is what keeps your muscles from cramping and helps them work the way they should. And it's loaded with the kind of fat that actually helps your heart instead of hurting it. So now I mash half an avocado and spread it right on top of my eggs, soft on soft, and my body finally gets the fat it had been begging me for years. That's 3, and I can feel some of you thinking it. But Deborah, where's the real protein? Where's the meat? Don't you worry, it's next. And there's a reason I'm telling you about it the way I'm about to. Number 4, lean meat, chicken, turkey, fish. This is the heavy hitter, the most protein you can put on a single plate. Now here's something most folks have no idea about. As you get older, your body actually gets worse at using protein. It gets stubborn about it, so you need more protein than a young person does, not less. And most old people eat far, far less. They're too tired to cook it. Their teeth ache, so they skip the meat and they live on bread and tea, and then they wonder why they're fading away. Don't you skip it. Now, I'm not asking you to fry up a steak at 6 o'clock in the morning. Keep it simple. When I cook chicken or turkey for my supper, I make extra on purpose. The next morning, I chop a little of it up cold and stir it right into my eggs. Or I'll have a small piece of fish. Fish is gentle. It cooks in minutes, and it is some of the finest fuel there is for old muscle. A little meat first thing in the morning when your body's been fasting all night, hungry and waiting. That's when it does the most good of all. So that's 4. And the last one is the smallest thing on this whole list. You could hold a whole day's worth in the palm of your hand, but it might be the one that surprised me the most. Number 5, nuts and seeds. A small handful, that's all. Almonds, walnuts, a few pumpkin seeds. Now, why on earth would something so small matter? Here's why. Nuts and seeds are quietly full of 2 minerals you probably never thought about once in your whole life. Magnesium and zinc, but your body uses them in hundreds of little jobs, and a whole lot of those jobs are about building and repairing muscle. Without them, the machinery just doesn't run right. And there's that good fat again, the kind that calms down the aches and the swelling, so your muscles can actually heal overnight while you sleep. So, I keep a little jar of mixed nuts and seeds right there by the stove. A spoonful goes on my yogurt. A few get tossed in with everything else. It takes 2 seconds, so that's all 5. Eggs, Greek yogurt, avocado, lean meat or fish, nuts and seeds every single morning without fail. But I made you a promise. I said I'd tell you how I actually got out of that nursing home. And here's where I have to be honest with you about something. Because if I let you believe the food alone did it, I'd be lying to you, and I will not lie to you. If you want to completely avoid the crushing, suffocating misery of old age, you have to do one thing above all else. You must fiercely protect yourself from illness. Think about your life right now while you still have your strength. When you are healthy, your mind is constantly crowded with 1,000 different desires. You want a bigger house, you want a nicer car, you want more money in your bank account, you want your family to visit more often. We all do this. We all take our physical health completely for granted while we chase after temporary things that do not actually matter in the grand scheme of survival. But the absolute second you get sick, all of those worldly desires vanish into thin air. When you are lying helpless in a hospital bed listening to the steady beep of a heart monitor, you only want one single thing. You just want to be cured. You want your health back, and you absolutely do not care what it costs. You would gladly trade every dollar you have ever made just to stand up and walk out of that room without pain. But for the average person, there are 0 guarantees in this life. No doctor can look you in the eye and promise you that you will not get sick. Disease strikes without warning. Suppose one day you wake up and you simply cannot move. Suppose you become completely bedridden. You cannot feed yourself. You cannot bathe yourself. You cannot even take care of your most basic private human needs. What will happen to you then? You become a burden to your loved ones trapped in a failing shell. Yet despite knowing all of this personally, I'm not afraid of illness. I'm not afraid of decay anymore. Why? Because I finally realized the deepest truth about human health. Illness is 70% mental and only 30% physical. The mind fundamentally controls the body. Age and time are relentless thieves, and they will eventually ravage your physical form. They will wrinkle your skin, weaken your bones, and slow your steps. But absolutely nothing can touch your human spirit unless you give it permission to do so. Why? Is it because the spirit naturally gets stronger and wiser as we accumulate years? No, that is not it at all. The brutal truth is that the human spirit actually begins to decay after the age of 25. When we are young, our spirits are vibrant, but as we enter adulthood, the daily stress of life begins to chip away at that internal fire. The natural decay of the soul sets in. Only those who actively and intentionally cultivate their spirit can ever hope to preserve it, let alone actually develop it into something stronger. But I did not know this crucial fact. So, what did I do? I lived my life from the age of 25 all the way to 80, just like everyone else. I allowed my spirit to gradually decay. I let the bitterness creep in. And after I turned 65, I started living with constant illness. By the time I was 80, I was lying in a hospital bed, barely clinging to life, and I honestly thought my story would end in quiet, agonizing suffering. However, a miracle happened. I had a visitor. It was an old high school friend I had not seen in over half a century. People always say that when you get old, you spend your time reminiscing about the past, and meeting old friends from your youth always moves you. I was deeply moved, but more than that, I was utterly surprised because my friend was also exactly 80 years old, yet her physical condition and her appearance were only like that of a 50-year-old. She was completely and entirely free of any illness. She moved with an effortless energy, forming a stark, almost unbelievable contrast to me, a frail woman who was lying in a hospital bed waiting for the end. I begged her to tell me her secret, and she sat down next to me and shared the truth. She explained that she achieved such incredible, radiant health not through expensive medical treatments, but by practicing Falun Dafa. She told me she spent her days reading the core text, Juan Falun, and strictly adhering to 3 profound principles: truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance, also known as patience. By living these principles, she was actively cultivating her mental state and cleansing her spirit of the negativity that makes us physically sick. And her practice did not stop at reading. She always sought practical ways to help other people, even in the smallest things, such as volunteering her time for babysitting or offering gentle, wise advice to struggling parents in her community. She poured her energy outward into the world. Listening to her changed everything for me. It was the exact spark my decaying spirit desperately needed, and I decided right then and there to follow her path. I began practicing Falun Dafa myself. I focused entirely on my mind, my spirit, and those 3 guiding principles. Thanks to practicing Falun Dafa, I have been able to rebuild my internal world, and I have always maintained a positive, unshakable spirit ever since that day. When you heal the mind, the body has no choice but to follow. The severe illnesses that used to dominate my life no longer appear as frequently as they did before. The chronic pain faded, the weakness vanished, and my failing shell was revitalized. I am no longer a victim of my age or a prisoner of a hospital bed. I have reclaimed my spirit, and because of that, I know with absolute certainty that I will continue to live a healthy, vibrant, and profoundly useful life until the very end. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. Dalai Lama, compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It is a relationship between equals. Pema Chodron, a kind gesture can reach a wound that only compassion can heal. Steve Maraboli, compassion is an action word with no boundaries. Prince, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Dalai Lama, compassion is the basis of morality. Arthur Schopenhauer,